friends, my name is Jake and we've got a brand new knife from a brand new knife company for you today. This is the Canadian Knife Company's Sleeper. Now, most of you are guys and you've heard of sleepers in the car industry where people have an old car and they soup it up to be something super special, but on the outside it looks like an average old car. This is the Sleeper. Of course, we're going to have close-ups when we get to the tabletop. We've got premium denim micarta, and we've got 14C 28N stainless steel blade with a really nice deep black wash finish. Thumb studs, and we've got a hole for flicking it out of as well. Nice wire clip. It's a liner lock. There's a lot of good stuff about this knife. Now mine, the one you're going to see in this video, is an early prototype. They've done even more stuff to this. We've got some jimping up here on the final version. You'll be able to see all the good stuff when you look at the website and see the pictures. It's dropping on the 7th of September at noon Eastern Standard Time. I'll have a link down below for it. That's when you can order it. Of course, you can go there and look at it ahead of time. White Mountain Knives is going to have 50 copies. I'm not sure what time they're dropping, but you can get it there if you're lucky enough. It looks like from the interest we had early on, I did an Instagram video about this about a month ago, and I had thousands of views. Most of my Instagram videos, get less than 100 views. That thing had thousands of views, lots of interest. If you want one of these, you're going to have to get it right away. Now, the early prices that we were providing for this, they've come down. The costs have come down a bit. It's going to be $124.99, I think, in Canadian dollars. That's around 90 American dollars for this knife. Is that too high? I don't know. It depends on how badly you want it, right? I think it's a pretty good price, and especially with how hard it is to get knives in Canada. And now from a brand new company, their inaugural knife, it's only going to have 200 knives made in their first run. They're not numbered though. But if you want to be one of the first to own it, you're going to have to get on there quickly. Now, I recorded the rest of this video about a month ago, but I'm showing it to you now for the first time. So stick around and learn about this Sleeper. As usual, let's start with a size comparison with the Ontario Rat 1. Line up those pivot pins. Yeah, it's a shorter knife, but not by a lot. You've got a forward choil, kind of like the Ontario Rat has, but you've got this big blade, which I'm quite happy with. It's fairly high. It's not a full flat grind, but it's a very high flat grind, like a saber grind, which means it comes slowly to an edge. That's a great thing because when you sharpen this knife, you're going to be able to sharpen it loads of times before it starts getting too thick behind the grind. Plus, a deeper blade, they just slice great. They slice and cut a whole lot better than, a short saber grind where you get thick pretty quickly. You might notice some paint on my fingers. Been having to do some painting around the house. The shape of it is wonderful for slicing and cutting, and it does a little bit of piercing. You don't really have, much of a pointy edge right here for piercing, but it does okay. It's got a flat spine. It's got, the edges are broken, so it's not sharp on the edges, but a flat spine, no swedge. Again, keeping to that Sleeper kind of mentality. It doesn't look like it's anything special, but its performance is really good. We've got this odd-shaped hole right here, which is quite nice. It's functional for flicking the blade open. Not a problem. Right or left-handed, it's just so easy to deploy this blade, with that bottom flick action. You've also got these nice chunky thumb studs. A little bit better access on the right side than you have on the left side, but left-handed, no problem at all. It's very easy to get behind there and deploy this blade left-handed, so that's okay. Now, you don't have a left-handed pocket clip, but it's still usable left-handed. I've been left-handed all my life. I've got no problem with a right-handed knife in my left pocket. It's easy to pull out and deploy. It's not the big deal that a lot of people make of it, at least not for me, because I got used to it. A little bit more about this blade. We've got a plunge that's kind of gradual, but it can be because we've got this forward choil. It does end before the heel of the blade, so it's nice and clean here when you go to sharpen this knife. I hope it comes in just a plain stonewash version eventually, but it's only available in a black wash. We've got 14C28N stainless steel here. I think the price point fits with what you got here because it's got way more finesse than I would have expected from a first knife, from a first-time knife making company. Well, they're made in China, but I mean the designing of it. You know, this is the guy's first time putting out a knife, and I think it's just a very good knife. The comfort in the hand, you're not going to be able to beat that all that easily. It fits my hand just wonderfully. And of course, my hands are just slightly above large, just barely into the extra large range. And I like it. It's just really, really good. This forward choil is just big enough for me. I wouldn't mind if it was just a tiniest bit bigger, but it works just fine this way. I haven't cut myself at all yet with the heel of the blade on my index finger on either hand. So, hey, must be pretty good. And I've done a fair bit of testing already. This forward choil also, right here, and I've mentioned this on so many videos, so many knives mess this up, where they don't align the liners with the blade. They've done it perfectly here. So when your grip is here like this part of your finger, as it's grabbing right there, it gets a solid grip. The only thing I'd change there is maybe I'd smooth out or take away some more material on the micarta right there, but not by much. It's pretty good. Like, I mean, it's very comfortable in the hand, and you get that really solid grip. So when you get your thumb on the spine and that index finger, you know, the rest of your fingers are also helping out, but you've got a solid grip to do some hard work. So this forward choil's done very well. The thumb studs, you know, they're big, chunky, blocky, but the rest of the knife is sort of that way as well. So I like these big thumb studs. And they've got, you know, that stepping motif on the top there. Really good for getting your thumb at there to deploy the blade. So I like that. The pivot, we've got double row ceramic ball bearings in here. Yeah, that's part of the reason why the price is a little bit higher. Those cost more. The action on it with those ball bearings is very good. It's not really drop shutty, but it closes quite nicely. I could adjust this. I'll take it apart, but I can tell you there's a D-shaped post in there, but either screw can be removed to take it apart. Now, I'm not sure what I think of that. I think I would prefer if the show side just had a smooth, you know, cap without the T8 hole there, and then just have the screw on this side, because I always take it apart on this side. The liner lock side, it just seems to me to be the best side to take a knife apart and put it back together. It's just more easy to assemble it. If you assemble it with the lock arm down on a liner lock, it's just a little, it's pretty minor, but it's just a little trickier to put it back together. So I'll show you that taken apart in just a little while. Lock up though, it's engaged pretty much exactly where I like a knife to be engaged for lockup. The access to the lock release, in the production version, they're going to cut away a little bit more of this micarta here, just to make it a little bit easier to get your thumb in there. Now, for me, I don't have a problem getting my thumb in there. But some people, you know, if they've got more sausage-style thumbs and fingers, they might find it a little bit harder to get their thumb in there. So they're going to take away just a little bit of that micarta, which I think is a good idea. When you go to close the blade, it's right down the middle. The alignment is really nice on this, so that's a good thing. The balance on this knife, it's a little more in the handle than I like, especially since it has a forward choil. I'd like the balance point to be over the pivot pin. You know, maybe if they skeletonized it a little bit, it'd be a little bit more better balanced, at least what I call better balanced, but it's not bad at all. The grip, well, we've got a nice deep handle this way. It is milled round, so it's thickest right here at this lightest area. And then, you know, it comes down. So being a little thicker here is not a problem. It's very comfortable in hand. And, you know, with that depth, you got a really good grip. Nice and rounded here for between the forward choil and the handle, and then nicely rounded back here. It's very comfortable for extended use. I like that quite a lot. As you've already seen, we've got some open pillar construction here, and we've got those hourglass shaped standoffs, quite nice. We've got some high quality T8 screws here. They're not button screws. And then back here, we've got a wire clip. Now this wire clip is held on with one screw, and again, that's a T8. And the wire clip is very functional. We've got some good retention, good springiness to it. Let's see it go into a pocket. Just climbs over the edge and slides in. Now that screw that's right there, it gets a little bit in the way, but not a problem. And there you go. You've got the blue micarta. It's not denim micarta. At least I don't think it's denim micarta. It looks close to it though. It just sort of sits there. And with that wire clip being black, let's put it right back here at the back. That's not bad. Adam did tell me that since this is not the production run, he just got some generic boxes to put it in when he got it to Canada. When they shipped these to him from China, they just packed the prototypes all in a row next to each other, and this got squished a little bit. So I think there's going to be a little bit more space this way off this clip on the production version, because they'll be packed properly, each in their own knife box and stuff, and they won't get squished. I don't have a problem with this clip, and I like that they chose a wire clip. The micarta, the edges here just slightly rounded off. It's got a fairly coarse finish for really good grippiness, and it's got that beautiful color. Now, next to this bright royal blue, it looks a little bit more like an aqua color, but it's actually a really nice blue. I'm very happy with this color. One thing that they're going to be changing on the production is a little bit of jimping up here. He said from the handle to about halfway along the hole, there's going to be jimping. I'm going to look forward to that. I like a good little bit of jimping there. I don't know what the jimping is exactly going to look like, if it's going to be big and blocky or if it's going to be fine. I don't know those things yet, but jimping will be a welcome addition. So let's show you how it's constructed. First off, you can see those dual roll ball bearings, nice ceramic ball bearings. They put a fair bit of oil, a lot of lubrication on there, maybe too much, but I'd much rather have too much than not enough. So that's a pro. There you can see the captured stop pin. And what I really like about this captured stop pin is it's not open on the front. So you can see that trench around the front here. Well, it's closed on the front. That way, when you're using the knife, you're not getting dirt and grime coming into the front of your knife. So I like it done that way. There's no skeletonizing. So I wish there was a little bit of skeletonizing. I could skeletonize this myself, maybe drill some holes, especially further back here, make the weight a little bit less, make the bounce point a little bit better. That's a personal thing I could do on my own. But, to try to keep the price point within reason, especially for a startup company, it's hard to start up a company because, the big names, they can make, 5,000 of one knife and the cost per knife goes way down for them. This guy just starting up, it's a whole lot harder. So I totally understand the price point. And I like supporting a Canadian company when I can. And this is nice. This is a really nice thing. One other thing that they're going to change on the production version that you don't see here is a little ramp right here. There's going to be a detent ramp for closing it. So I'm looking forward to seeing that on future models. The prototype doesn't quite have that. And there you see the D-shaped pivot pin right in there. There's no Loctite on these screws, and there you can see, how nice these screws are. They're good quality hardware. I'm very happy with that. Simple construction, done well. It's time for all the specs, measurements, and stuff. 14C28N by Sandvik, a good, solid, budget stainless steel. Some people say mid-grade stainless steel. So it's right on that borderline, in my opinion, between budget and mid-grade. I think it's a good steel for this knife. Rockwell on this is usually around 59, give or take a tiny bit. Sometimes it's over, sometimes it's a little under. I have no way of testing it myself. The sharpness of this thing from the factory, 65 best. That's pretty sharp. That's quite a bit sharper than most knives that I review, so that's a good thing. The cutting edge length, straight line from tip to the heel of the blade, 77 millimeters, 3.03 inches. Blade length, tip to the closest spot on the handle, that's right there. 84.1 millimeters, 3.31 inches. Some people measure, along the spine. So the tip to the spine, 88.2 millimeters, 3.47 inches. The thickness of the blade, 2.84 millimeters, which is 0.112 of an inch, so just barely under 1/8 of an inch. The blade depth, this way it's biggest right here, just a bit forward of the heel, 36.7 millimeters, 1.45 inches. How thick is it behind the grind? Measured in 3 places. Average is 0.43 millimeters, 17,000ths of an inch, so that's great. The grind angles, we've got an average of 17.15 degrees here and 17.2 degrees here. Although, at the heel or the right side here, 15.1 degrees to 19.3 degrees, 4.2 degrees of change. This side again, but 15.2, so almost identical, to 19.1, 3.9 degrees change. So from the right to the left, whoever's sharpening this started 15, ended at 19, and did the same thing on both sides. At least they're consistent. The handle now. The handle length, 110.9 millimeters, 4.37 inches. The grip area, just in the handle, that's about 9 centimeters, about 3.5 inches. If you add the forward choil, 11 centimeters, almost 4.5 inches. So that's good. The thickness of the handle, 14.5 millimeters, 0.57 of an inch. And again, that's just at this thickest spot right there. The handle depth within the grip area, the widest point's right there, 28.1 millimeters, 1.11 inches. When the knife is closed, the widest point is 42 millimeters, 1.65 inches. The total length of this knife from end to end, 195 millimeters, 7.68 inches, so 7 2/3 of an inch long. The proportions on this thing are quite nice. Like I said, $149 at Canadian Knife Company, and $114 US is what that is roughly. And I do believe they ship to the United States. I think Adam did a great job on his first knife. Now, I'm assuming this is his first knife. It's just done really well. He told me that he watched an awful lot of reviews and wanted to see what reviewers thought was the most important thing out there on knives. And he tried to build all that stuff together into one knife. Now, there's no possible way that you can please everybody with one knife. It's just not possible. But this knife ticks an awful lot of the boxes for most people, I think. And the name, that's a cool name, the Sleeper. It really suits this knife, in my opinion, because it's straightforward and it's clean lines. It's not audacious. It's a cool knife that gets the job done. Especially, it's a really cool Canadian knife. Now, Canadians are just not into self-defense and stuff like that, like the Americans are. Part of that reason is it's illegal to defend yourself in Canada. Yeah, pretty crazy, huh? If you haven't heard about that, if you're an American and you hear that, you think that's totally nuts. Yeah, that's how it works here. So as a utilitarian user knife, this knife really checks even more boxes. This edge here, the grind, it slices and cuts very, very well. Nice and thin behind the edge, good steel. It's sharpened quite well. The grind angles, well, there's a bit of an angle change along the length. If you want to see how I measure grind angles, there's a link to a video right here. That's just a really nice belly here, a nice straight section, and its performance is good. It's really good. I didn't talk about this black wash finish. It's done quite well. It's very even. I don't know what company, what factory they got to make these knives, but whoever they got knows how to make knives because these are done quite well. I'm very happy with this knife, and I'm sure the production version, doing a few more finesse things to this knife, they're going to be even better. CanadianKnifeCompany.com. Right now, they also have Gunny Glide in stock. At least on day one, they will have it in stock. They might have other Gunny products in the future. We'll see. Thank you, everyone, for watching my video. Thank you for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. A huge thank you and shout out to my financial supporters through either Patreon or YouTube members. You can click right down there, the join button's right there. I appreciate your help an awful lot. And remember, friends, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb.